Once again, my evening did not go as I had expected it to. Good morning, everybody. It is February 21st, Thursday. It is day 21 of Plan As You Go month, where I show how I use my Erin Condren horizontal, my bullet journal, and my power sheets together in tandem for an entire month. I'm going to name this week the week of what the fuck plans, because that's basically what's been happening. Yesterday, we had our friend come over, a plumber, to take a look at our pipes. My husband had to come home and help him, and they didn't figure the problem out. We're still kind of dealing with it. My husband had intended to work from home for the rest of the afternoon, but he wasn't able to. Something went wrong with his laptop and he had to go into the office. So I decided to go in with him and do some work of my own. Nobody else was there. It was super late into the evening, but it was just another, I had hoped to maybe have some time to film last night and I didn't. I'm not mad about it. It was fine. I like spending time with my husband, but once again, the evening did not go the way we expected to, which is really funny because normally my evenings are the most boring thing on the planet, and this week it has just been helter-skelter. First thing I'm gonna do is check in with my power sheets for the day. So I've made some progress on the email work and the numbers auditing. I did not cook with cauliflower. I had intended to, but we wound up just getting takeout because of the whole working into the evening thing. I might have to wait to do the cauliflower rice till tomorrow night. Hopefully it won't go bad before then, because tonight RJ has a concert and I don't know if I'm gonna have the energy to cook after that. It's a middle school concert, man. Takes it out of you. I am definitely meal planning tonight. I'm gonna work some more on the email work, and I am going to clean my office today. It's on my list of things to get done. Like, I want to get it done. I also have a little bit of filming to finish. I did 2 of the 3 videos I wanted to film yesterday, so I need to get 1 more in. I wound up having to drive both of my kids and my ex-husband's other kid and her friend around yesterday, as a favor. So I wound up spending a couple hours in the afternoon as mom Uber. Moober? Is that the name for it? Moober? I was Moober yesterday. That kind of sucked up a little bit of the time I expected to use filming. I'm not really frustrated about it. You know what I mean? Like, it honestly was not that big of a deal. It's just like, I'm just amused this week at how every single day the things I thought were gonna happen didn't, when normally that's not what happens. Like, shit might change a little bit, but this week kind of the constant everything changing is not business as usual around here, and it's kind of funny to me that it's been going on. So hopefully today that won't happen. That would be really nice. So looking at my schedule today, I've already got meal plan on here and posting something for my patrons. I need to film 1 more video, and I need to edit next week's podcast. It's already recorded. It's an interview, and send some podcast emails. And those are definitely things on my list. And I think I actually want to use one of my podcast situation stickers for that, because a good probably third of my workday is going to be working on the podcast. So these are from the Cynical Planner on Etsy, my friend Alex. It's not gonna fit. Put it right here. Move it over a little bit more. Why are you making this difficult, Cindy? What the fuck? And then I'm gonna letter in clean office, because that is something I really want to get. I'll put the email work. There was something else I wanted to put on here, and I don't remember what it is. Maybe it'll come back to me. I'm going to set this aside. But before I do, there are 2 questions that I wanted to answer that are both related to planner events, which was something we talked about yesterday, and these are from yesterday's video. The first one is from Julie Devlin. Where can I find information about local groups and meets and whatnot? And the second one is from Jessica B, who says, what are your favorite planner events? So I'll answer Julie first. If you want to find local planner stuff and you're on Facebook, the best possible way to find things is to put in your area, like whether it's your town, or if you're in a smaller town, put in like the closest like city or big town or whatever to you in the search, and then the word planners or planner. Often you will find groups in your area. I know for a fact there are a shit ton of planner people in the Atlanta area, so there's got to be something there, which is where you live. But in general, because I know somebody else was asking about northern Nevada. So take a look at the closest city to you and see if there's a planner group nearby, because often those are the groups that do like the smaller, like get together at Panera Bread kind of meetups, which are a lot of fun. If you are not on Facebook, then I'm not really sure the best way. Maybe Instagram might be a way to start hunting that down. As for my favorite planner events, I've really loved all. I don't think I've been to a planner event. I haven't, that's a lie. There's at least one event I did not like, but they don't do the events anymore, and it was several years ago, and it was really overcrowded and just not well done. This particular person does not host planner events anymore, so I'm not going to name blast them everywhere, but it was several years ago, and there are other people who will know what I'm talking about if we talk about the event in San Francisco in the building that we thought was going to be nice, but it wound up being a basement. They'll know what I mean. But for the most part, I really love the events I've gone to. Some of them are different than others. As an example, Go Wild is a lot of fun, and it's gigantic. And if you're not into like a gigantic event, it may stress you out. Plancation, which is coming up in the summer in Arizona, that was a blast. I've gone to New York. Those events have been a lot of fun. The West Coast Planners events, there's one coming up in October and tickets are still on sale for that. It's called the Candy Shop. I have had a ball at every single one of their events. I like them all. I really don't have one that I have been to that I don't like, except for the one I was referring to. You know, there are some events I don't go to for various reasons, but it's not that I have been to them and don't like them. I just have my reasons for not going. But all of the ones I have been to, I've enjoyed. I did not take a painkiller last night. I actually was feeling okay last night. I was exhausted. I was exhausted as fuck. I told you the last few days, man, I have been like half asleep all day, and I've been sneezing and sleepy. Those actually don't go together very well, because once you're like finally sort of starting to nod off and then you sneeze like mucus everywhere, not a good scene. It's really nice though to see a bunch of pink and purple here after my like wall of goddamn green. I love the colors though. These colors are so much better than the ones I was using for the last year in Pixels. Rambly as fuck this morning, the caffeine has kicked in. Now I've got 3 more questions, and 2 of them are very similar to each other, and they're kind of big, weighty topics. So I'm gonna answer that last, but before I do that, there is one that you're probably not gonna give a fuck because it is nerdy. P.S. All of you guys who love the Wheel of Time in the comments in yesterday's video, shout out. This actually comes from Rebecca Madigan, who said, what expansion did you start playing World of Warcraft? My husband has played off and on since Classic. He played the new Classic beta a few months ago and loved it, but he's skeptical about whether the entire game will be good or not. Curious if you have any thoughts about the new release of Classic for this summer. I did not play Classic. I'm a Wrath baby. I started playing in Wrath of the Lich King, and I stopped playing in Cataclysm about halfway through, 3/4 of the way through Cataclysm. I really disliked what they did to Resto Druids, which is what I was at the time. Also, we just didn't have time to play the way we used to when we were raiding. We started playing again. My husband started playing towards the end of Legion, and he got me back into it right at the start of BFA. As for Classic, I'll probably give it a try, but I'm not hardcore about it. I never played it, and to be honest, I don't really want to. Like, a lot of the quality of life shit that has come into the game since then, it's like, those are things I like. I don't really want to play without them. I have no interest in playing a harder game for the sake of nostalgia that I don't have. All right, so hopefully today I'll be able to cross off the clean and organized office. That is on my list. It's not on it yet because I haven't made my list, but it will be on my list. Today's doodle is champagne. I used to draw the champagne bottle spooging very often, right around New Year's. That was the most awkward bottle of champagne ever. I feel like I just did not get the angles right because it's covered up by the other stuff, and it's really kind of off kilter and bothering me, but I'm not too worried about it. The lettering for today is Closer, which my husband said is not a song about sex, or not a sexy song, and I'm like, well, you were a much smaller child when 9 Inch Nails was a thing. I was in high school. Now I look at Trent Reznor and I'm like, oh God, how the years go by. But when I was, you know, middle school and high school, that song and that video and Trent Reznor, they informed a lot of my emerging sexuality. So I wasn't able to check anything off on here, but I made progress on a couple of these things. So hopefully I'll be able to check them off tomorrow. I did check one thing off though, I'm pretty sure. My list just got more and more sloppy yesterday as I was working. I have 2 questions that are kind of similar to each other, or maybe not similar, but they're related to each other. And so I thought I would kind of talk about them together.
Big, weighty topics.
One of them is from Mermaid in Motion, who asked, with your chronic disease issues, do you ever feel that hardcore goal planning tools become a hindrance? If it were me, I would imagine the level of detail in your power sheets is energizing on good days and anxiety-inducing on bad days. If you're having a bad day, are your planners overwhelming or merely a friendly reminder to keep trying? And then the second question is from Rebecca Walters, who said, I'm honestly trying to get out of survival mode of life. When I think what if my plans are for the next day, I know I have a few things, but there is a mountain to-do list that I have to start planning out, and that is where I've run into my issues lately. How do you get past it? How do you figure out the projects and steps of the project to start planning them out in the days and weeks ahead? Is that where the power sheets help? I'm trying to figure out how to do that again. They're related, I think, to each other in the sense that they're both kind of looking at future planning, goal setting, and those things, how to kind of interact with that when you're having a bad day or when you're stressed out, whatever the case may be. The first thing I'm going to say, and this is more directly in reference to Mermaid's question, is that for me, a tool like the Power Sheets is just that. It's a tool. If I'm having a really stressful or anxiety-filled day, I often won't look at it, and I'm okay with that. This is actually the beauty of the system I use with my bullet journal, Erin Condren, the Power Sheets, and my digital calendar. If I'm having a really stressful day and I know that like I just need to get through the day and make sure I don't drop the ball on anything that has to be done, but that I'm not going to put any more pressure on myself because I'm already stressed out enough as it is, I won't look at the goal sheets. I probably won't even look at the Erin Condren. I'll glance at my calendar to see if there's any appointments that day, and I'll just make a list in my bullet journal, or sometimes I'll just make a list on a piece of paper, and I'm okay with that. I wasn't always. Sometimes I felt like I was beholden to my planners to do the things I told myself I would do. That somehow my planners were holding me super accountable, and instead of helping me, they were stressing me out more. But over time, I have realized that that's kind of bullshit. Like, not the feeling isn't bullshit if you have it, but my planners aren't sentient. They aren't looking at me with like a stern finger wagging saying like, you must do these things. I'm projecting that onto them. I can remove that if I'm conscious of it. And so I've tried to make an effort to remind myself that these are here to help me, and if they're not helping me because I'm having a stressful day or something, that it is perfectly legit to put them to the side, to not worry about them, and to just focus on the couple of things that I need to take care of. And if there's nothing I need to take care of, maybe I just have an off day. I will say though, the reason the Power Sheets have been helping me, and this actually goes to Rebecca's as well. In the past, when I've looked at goal planners, I have looked at them as like all of these hardcore business goals or whatever the case may be. Now, the way I look at it is it's a way to help me reshape how I think about certain things, how I think about money, how I think about our family's relationship to each other, to electronics, how I think about, myself as a civilized business person, how I think about my body and my mind, whatever the case may be. That's what the goals I'm working on. They're much less about specific like number type goals and much more about shifting how I view things so that I'm not as up and down. I'm a lot more stable. Because of that, I'm not so scared to look at them and be like, oh my God, I haven't done this thing yet. It's not like, oh, I haven't done this thing, I'm not gonna be able to pay my mortgage. That's not I still have to do things to pay my mortgage, but that's not how I'm using the Power Sheets. I can imagine if that is the way you were using them, where they would become a really big burden on you on super stress-filled days if that's something you're worried about. But to your point, Rebecca, my projects that I have coming up, the Power Sheets break down certain projects that have to do with certain goals I'm focusing on. And that gets broken down on a monthly level, where every month this is just how it's worked out so far, where I take a look, and you can look at my last Power Sheets check-in, where I look at the goals I have, I pick the things I'm going to work on that month, and then I break them down into monthly, weekly, daily things in the Power Sheets. That's only stuff related to those specific goals. As for other projects, I just break them down in my bullet journal when I get around to them. If I know we're going to be working on something like painting the house, then I have to break down all of the different steps of that, and I just do it in my bullet journal. Although I say that, the way it works in practice, like this closet cleaning out that I did this past weekend with my husband, I had been thinking about it for like a couple months, and I had ideas in my head, but I wasn't actually doing anything about it. I kept procrastinating. And then we had the problem with the moisture, and my husband pulled the whole closet apart, and I was like, fuck, it's time to do it. And he was like, oh, I don't want to. And I was like, nope, we're gonna do it. And so we just went at it that day instead of taking it step by step. That's been how I've operated a lot of my life. I'll ponder something for a couple of months, and then some catalyst will happen that forces me into it, and I just do everything at once. That's how I started the podcast. That's how I've started my Patreon. There's a whole bunch of things in my life where I have had it in the back of my mind, but never had like the nerve or the gumption to actually do something. And then I just do it all at once, but I've been thinking about it the whole time. Now, my suggestion would be, if you're stressed out about a project, break it down on a piece of paper into as minute parts as possible, because then each step doesn't take you very long, and you can check it off fairly quickly, and it'll make you feel better about yourself because you're making progress. I've got everything on here for my list for the day, and I'm going to just see how I can do on this. We also got to figure out, it's one more thing I got to put on here. We got to figure out what we're doing for custody this weekend. Everything is so wacky right now. I talked to my ex-husband to figure that out, so that's one thing on my list. I would love to know in the comments for you how you approach future planning when you're having a stressful day. Does goal planning help you or hinder you? Is that something you've been avoiding trying to do because you're worried that it's going to be hard on you? Is it something that really gives you structure? What is your relationship to goal planning and thinking ahead for projects? Is there tips that you have for people who suffer from anxiety or suffer from the stress of doing that to help them maybe find a practical way to work it into their lives? Or do you think that goal setting is like some bunk and you don't like doing it? I know there are some people who think setting resolutions at the first of the year is a ridiculous idea and you shouldn't bother. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on goal planning, and especially goal planning and whether, like, how goal planning can be a hindrance or a help maybe at the same time. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it in the comments below. Thank you so much. Whoa, just scared the shit out of my cat. Thank you so much. The thing blocking the window just fell down. Loki is now extremely puffy. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next Plan As You Go video.